Must be nice to just have all these computers you can play with. One doesn't, oh, well, we'll just go to this other computer over here, or we'll go to that other computer over there. Yeah. All right, let's see. We don't need that. Need that. We might need that. Don't need that. We can turn this down. There we go.
Okay, Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, but it sounds like you're underwater. You've got an echo.
Yeah. Give me a second.
All right, we're just in a little pre-show here. Let's see, do we have some text that will say that? Maybe. Maybe. Hard to say. I heard a little bit of me there.
Is that a little better?
Nope.
No, I still got echo.
Still got echo.
Let me see if I can grab my headphones.
Okay. Just getting things worked out here, folks. Sometimes it's easy. Middle center, that'll work. Sometimes it's hard. Oops. Preshow. Is pre-show all one word? I mean, does anybody really know? I'm going to change the color of that to purple. There we go. And let's put it here. And then we're going to move it here. There we go. Oop, not too low. That's good. That looks more pinkish than purplish, though, doesn't it? Oh, let's see what this little lady wants. You're on speaker in front of thousands of people. What's up?
Do you know what time conference closes? Because we
5:30.
might have a small problem. 5:30? Okay. I'll just have to try to beat it home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no stopping at the grocery store afterwards. Okay.
No grocery store.
All right.
Say
Well, hopefully I can get here and get you in time.
say hi to everybody online.
No,
Too late.
don't put me on.
You're already there. I'm live.
Okay.
And you
See you later.
called. All right, bye.
Bye.
That's the one call you take, no matter what. The one call you take. All right, let's see, Ron. What is he saying? If he is using vMix, go into his audio input and click the green headphones or turn his volume down on his machine. Yeah, Eric is a vMix aficionado, and he is got like 94 different PCs there, and he's just looking for the one that's set up right, because he doesn't do this from his studio all the time. Steve wants to know if anybody's going to NAB NYC 2022 this month. I am not.
All right, Tom.
Eric, you sound great.
All right.
But
That's
you're
good to
invisible.
hear.
There he is. Okay, I heard myself on echo then. There he is. He's both places. All right. Good deal. This, folks, is why we do tech checks. Because you just never know,
Yes, sir.
You got to give yourself time to screw up. That's the thing. At least that's my opinion.
I agree.
All right. So Eric, you got some stuff that you can show to us. And when you do, we're going to go to that screen, and I need to get that little Carter and Parker special guests fixed. So let's find out where that is. That was left over from this summer when they were my two grandsons were here and did the show. It was really a lot of fun. But where is that graphic? One second. Oh, you know what? I can find it here. It's a trigger, I think. Yeah, there we go. Number 65. That's the easy way to do it. Now, that's not my screen you see, folks. That's Eric's screen. There we go. Eric, where is Albany State? Albany, Georgia?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I knew it was Albany. I mean, that went without saying. Okay, so this should work. So if we do that, and then we do that, there we got that, and that'll appear for a few seconds and then go away. 3, 2, 1, go away. There we go. Okay. So we're going to give Eric the full screen effect there. And yeah, this is good.
I hope I don't break your camera.
Oh, it would be your camera.
I'm sorry, your internet stream.
What kind of camera are you using today?
I'm actually on a laptop.
Okay.
I'm going to switch cameras here to kind of give you a little bit of a tour.
Oh, good. Okay.
Excuse the mess.
Nope. That's the way real people live. And that was you, not
I've
me.
got, of course, my X keys replay.
Oh, sweet.
Let me move the cell phone.
And that's the updated version of the keyboard, right?
This is my customized version.
Oh, this is your customized version. Oh, yeah.
Basically,
look at that. You can do the
cameras.
whole game. Holy cow.
The deleted button, maybe switch, everything.
Yep.
This is the other piece to my replay.
Yep.
So I can get my rollouts.
Look at that. And you're
tab.
tagging those guys, and you've already got the tags pre-made.
Yes.
Defensive stop, big play.
Maggie and the folks at X Keys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And my graphics controller.
Holy cow. This is up to 4 X keys now. Look at that. Gee, Monet.
And don't tell Maggie, but as my backup, I've got a Stream Deck, but that's just my backup.
It's just a backup. Yeah. In the unlikely event that,
all the X keys fails. In the unlikely event, you've got to have a plan B.
That's right. You do.
But I think I wasted my money on this Stream Deck.
Well, you got a backup. This is going to be fun, folks. This is going to be fun.
On the other side of my office, you'll see another computer, and that's actually my backup. Now, let me see if I can raise this up. Yeah, you'll see it in that case on that desk.
Yeah.
That's my backup in case my primary right here on the floor, Colossus, fails.
Colossus. I love it.
Well, I got Colossus and Colossus Jr.
All right. Now, is this stuff mobile, or are you doing all that stuff from your? Okay.
They're rack-mounted cases, as a matter of fact. Here's the base of one of them. I put the back on it. They're rack-mount PCs, and I put them up and I roll them.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
And I didn't bring my case that I usually put my X keys in, but I've got probably about 3 cases that I carry all my X keys in.
It takes him 3 cases to carry his X keys. I love it. 3 cases for X keys. That's too funny. All right. Well, this is a little impromptu pre-show studio tour. So yeah, let's get the pre-show graphic up so everybody knows we're just warming up here. This is not the real deal yet. Not the real deal. Well, Eric, how you been?
I'm having fun.
Yeah?
Well, I've made the transition. All of my audio is now Dante.
Oh. Living dangerously. Is it easier?
No, it's a lot easier.
What's the biggest difference?
I don't have to run as many cables.
Okay.
I just run one fiber cable from my trailer to the press box.
Yep. Now, is this your home rig? Will this rig work on the road too?
Yes. I take it everywhere. As a matter of fact, we'll be in Birmingham, Alabama, Saturday.
Birmingham? With what? Alabama State? Birmingham Southern? UAB?
No. The Tuskegee Morehouse Classic.
Tuskegee Morehouse. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, so this is a classic game, not a home game. All right. Cool. And so you'll be doing the production for ESPN?
That game, I will not,
You won't. Okay. Gotcha.
but I will be training some students from Morehouse.
Okay. Okay. Oh, cool. On vMix.
Yes,
Uh-huh. And Dante. And so you're going to take your gear and set it up like you're doing a broadcast and teach them like that?
correct.
Oh, man. Lucky kids. Jeez. Wish I could be there. Holy cow. That would be fun. So these kids, you said from Morehouse,
Yes.
are they doing live streaming now for their sports?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Yeah. Your pause
they're
sort of
learning.
said it all. You know, when you go, well, means, you know, they may have an iPhone or something, but that's about the best they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just going to be blown away. That's great.
Well,
Now,
they always have fun.
does Morehouse have any kind of video production track or TV classes?
Yes.
They do. Gotcha.
They've got a journalism track that they
Okay.
can get a degree in journalism.
Okay. All right. All right. So they're going to hire you as an adjunct professor for the weekend.
Yes.
All right. Bill Dawson's asking, one fiber or one cable with multi-fiber?
One cable with multi-fiber.
There we go.
Because all of my cameras are also fiber. I've gone with the Blackmagic infrastructure as far as my cameras were concerned.
Okay. And is that technically
You know, I've
SDI?
got, yes, all my cameras are SDI,
Okay.
but I use their fiber converters.
Okay. So for folks that don't know, he's plugging in a fiber converter at the camera, and then he's plugging in a fiber converter at his PC, and then in between those two converters is fiber. Yeah. Love it.
Yes, that's right.
And fiber is a lot easier to work with than SDI cable, for sure. So are you an expert at repairing fiber ends now, too?
Not yet. I'm still working on it.
Okay. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that's the thing is that, you know, when something breaks, you got to be able to fix it right then and there, because you're not going to go to the Walmart and get a fiber converter, or you carry extras, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes. I keep looking at the clock, but I've really got one right here. We've got 6 minutes left until showtime.
Okay, can you still hear me, Tom?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. I just did a mix minus on my end.
Aha. Okay. Now, which of those computers is vMix Call running on? The laptop?
Yes, my laptop.
Okay. 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 Interesting. Interesting. Well, we may. How would you feel about doing a Dante audio workshop for vMix users?
I have no problems.
All right.
Because my Dante eco structure is pretty much Studio Technologies equipment and gear.
Okay.
They play really nicely with all of my stuff because you can go to Audinate and purchase the Dante Virtual Sound Card,
Right.
which I'm going to see if I can pull up my other computer here, and but and so now I just go into the Dante controller and tell it where I want to route my audio.
Yep.
And it works well also in the stadiums because I can get a line out from, say, the referee mic, and I've got an Audinate dongle that I just plug into the network, and boom, now I've got the ref mic.
Sweet. Sweet. Ron Wallace, are you paying attention to this? Yeah, you need to. Ron is down in our area and does a lot of high school football, high school basketball, and is always trying to simplify his setup and make it more bulletproof.
Yeah. And I'm juggling around different mice from my different computers, and I'm trying to pull up my Dante controller and Dante virtual sound card. All right, let me see here. I'm gonna try to switch over real quick. And this is actually Colossus. This is the computer I normally use to do broadcasts with. And this is Dante virtual sound card. So I'm doing a 16 by 16, 16 inputs in, 16 inputs out. And then here's my Dante controller. I just made a little simple one here. And it's hard for me to see on this screen, so I'm going to look over. And you see Colossus right here. And also, Colossus. And here's my audio console, which, I've got a transmit coming in from this microphone going into Colossus here on an input. And so if I were to go to, let me break out vMix on that machine. I'm sorry, I did close that one. So let's reopen that guy.
You're good.
And here are all my inputs.
Holy
right
cow.
Now, a lot of those I don't need to have visible. They're actually what we call front ends for ESPN. For example, and I'm going to see if I can do, oops, wrong channel. Okay. I'm going to switch over to my other channel here, and I'll run a front end for you guys. It's Colossus 1. We'll go to display 2. And, okay. And so I'll come over here to display 2. Let's just say I'm run a front end, and I'm going to go ahead and move this over. And say, for example, I'm going to cut back to an old shot of me. And so you see when we go to break, we're talking about Albany State, and we go to break, and then boom. As we're going to break.
All right.
Or if we're talking, because, and the thing is, I'm doing this for the SIAC. So if, for example, if we just want to do a neutral break from the conference, we'll do that.
Right.
And there's Tuskegee, who will be, game we'll be doing, because students will be running the entire production.
Awesome.
And so, we always, I try to have fun with everybody. But that's it. And I'll come back to me here. And I'll turn that off. Excuse
All
me.
right. Couple more questions before we get started and we stop paying attention to the folks in chat.
Okay.
Bill Dawson is asking about fiber again, and he says, "Is it how long is your fiber spool?"
1,000 feet. I've got 1, 2, 3. Now my I've got a 12-strand spool that is 500 feet, and then I've got my LC single bolt fiber that's 2 strands. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 foot spools of those, so I can pretty much go anywhere.
Pretty much anywhere. Yep. Yeah. All right. Bill also wants to know: have you taken any of the Dante classes? You've probably taken them all.
I'm Dante Level 2 certified. I have passed the first part of the Dante Level 3 certification, getting ready for the big test.
Aha. All right. There you go, Bill. You got to hurry up and catch up with him. Good deal.
Well, levels 1 and 2 aren't that difficult. Level 1 is just identifying the pieces. You could probably, and, and no disrespect, Tom, but you could just pretty much just look at the chipsets because they want you to be able to identify the chipset with what it can do. One of their chipsets only can do 2 channels. Another one can only, do like 8, and another one 16, and the big boy can do 64. And in my trailer, I do have 64 channel one in my rack. I run a Yamaha TF rack for my audio in the truck.
Oh, man. I got to go to Albany. Gee whiz. All right. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Eric, I'm going to mute you just for a few
Okay.
minutes. And let's see, what's a mute button? There we go. There's a mute button. And we'll take the pre-show off. And we'll go back here for just a second. And then we're going to press the pink button on our. Eric was showing off his before. You've never seen a layout like that before. Nobody's got one like that. Thank goodness. All right, here we go. Yes. So excited about today's show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. We've got Eric Tabor coming up with just a minute with Albany State University and all sorts of cool stuff so far as vMix and live streaming and Dante and Blackmagic and Fiber and all sorts of cool graphics from ESPN. Anyway, we're going to get to that right in just a second. But I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Really honors me and honors Derek to have you guys pop in. If you see something today, you say, oh, so-and-so needs to know about that. Send them a link. Don't let them sit out there in the universe and be ignorant. If there's something that's valuable here, share it. By all means, share it. And as Steve says in the chat, what is it Steve said in the chat? Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you, Steve. Check is in the mail. All right. So, one other thing. Streaming Idiots is sponsored by Eastern Shore Broadcasting. That's my company. That'll take you to the website. And Eastern Shore Broadcasting is a purveyor, that is, we sell, live streaming gear, mostly live streaming PCs, but we also are representatives for vMix. So we add vMix to all of our live streaming PCs. And we're representatives for Bird Dog and X Keys and PTZ Optics and Magewell and other great companies that have at least some of their products involving in the live streaming video world. And so if I can help you with any of that gear, I'm happy to do that. Sometimes we can get it faster than the big guys. And also we are looking for a partner, somebody to come alongside us and help us build systems and do consultations with clients and sell gear and that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in that as a part-time gig or a full-time gig, shoot me a note. There's a contact form again on the website. Would like to talk with you about that and what that might mean for you. Yeah. Okay. So there's this guy. And he's in Georgia. And he is and he is currently he's busy doing something else. We got a frontal shot of Eric on that one. But Eric has been doing live streaming. Let me have another go at him. See if we can get him. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Sorry about that, Eric. I caught you when you were adjusting your camera, and so there was nothing but blue shirt on
No,
the
I was
screen.
closing the. I'm sorry, I was closing the door.
Closing the door. Always a good idea. Always a good idea. Eric and I go way back, and I'm not quite sure where our acquaintance really began. Just one of those things, and we've talked to the ins and
It
outs
was
of
that
live
Vid
streaming
Blaster
over
guy,
the
Tom.
years. Sorry, say again.
It was that Vid Blaster guy.
Oh man, that is a long time ago. Holy cow! Yeah, boy, we've learned a lot since then. Gee, many.
Yes.
Yep. But you're at Albany State. How long have you been at Albany State?
I've been at Albany State, officially or unofficially.
Oh, come on, give me the big number.
Okay. Been at Albany State probably about the last 15 years. I've been the PA announcer for the football games up until this year for the last close to 10 years. I've done some fill-in play-by-play work for them, and I've been doing their streaming probably for the last 7 years.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, and you have a magnificent voice, by the way. I was admiring that when we were in pre-show, and it was just like that's the voice people pay attention to. I can't imagine what
Yeah,
you
'cause
sound
I've
like
done,
when
you
you
know, I
when you
was,
get high, when you get excited. Does your voice break and get real high when you get excited, or you still have that deep, thundering bass?
I still have that baritone voice.
Baritone. Okay, there we go. I was close. Well, what was your tell me how you first discovered live streaming, and then we'll get to the good stuff. But we got to build a little bit of a foundation here first.
Okay. Well, Tom, I started off, I've been in radio since I was like 16 years old.
Oh my
Um,
goodness,
can I give a shameless plug to the
absolutely, absolutely.
deceased Doc Suttles? He's in the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame. When I was actually 16, I said, "Hey, I want to learn radio." I've always been a techie, but I was like, man, I want to be on radio. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'll do whatever it takes. And Doc didn't just make me a go for coffee, go get me this. He actually showed me all the nuts and bolts and everything in what goes on in radio. As far
Wow.
as inflections, how to enunciate,
Yeah,
all those
yeah,
great things. And and
yeah.
and Doc Suttles was a legend here in South Georgia, in the state of Georgia. Period. It was a shame he was not admitted into the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame until after he passed.
Uh,
But he was one of the pioneers in Georgia radio. He put Albany State doing radio broadcasts in the 70s. When teams, only Georgia and Georgia Tech and those guys had radio broadcasts for their football games.
right.
So, I have to give props to, the late great Doc. So when so I always wanted to get into radio, and I actually did radio for a while. Tom, I was actually in Mobile for a year at WBLX.
Oh my goodness, that's right across the
Yes,
bay from me, folks. Mobile, Alabama. Yeah.
yeah. So I continued in radio, but a friend of mine, she told me, she was like, "Well, Eric, this is now, we've gone now into the 2000s. People are not listening anymore. They want to see it.
Radio is not
And with the
enough.
internet." I was like, yeah, that would be great. And I started messing around with some stuff, and Mark Cuban actually at the time owned. He was the creator of Real Player,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if you guys remember that,
Yep.
but
Yep.
he was the first one to be able to stream video over the internet. And so I was like, okay, this is cool. This would be great. And I was actually in Dallas at that time, and at a radio station in Dallas, KKDA, we actually streamed not only the radio station audio, but a live stream of the control room. So you could actually see the air talent doing the show live.
That was before it was even cool.
And yeah, and I was always an IT guy because I'm IT by default. Even here at Albany State, I'm an IT person here as well. Um, so after that, I said, okay, there's got to be a better way to create a switcher, using a computer rather than spending literally thousands of dollars on a physical switcher. So I got to researching and looking, and by that time, I think it was, what was it, Tom, 2009, 2010, Vid Blaster came out. Wildcast came out, and I was playing around with both of those guys. They're way cool, but they still had some limitations. And that's when I first met you, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, Tom. I remember you were doing a show called That Vid Blaster Guy, and you were actually using vMix as your switcher. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, goodness gracious. Eric, you're telling all my
I'm
secrets.
embarrassing you, Tom.
You're telling all my secrets. Yeah. Well, no, but it was, the natural progression. It's like, okay, here's something Vid Blaster, and then here's something better. And that's why we had to switch the name of the show to Streaming Idiots, because we couldn't be just one product. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting in the middle of your story. So
no
that
problem.
was 2009.
That's when we actually first met. Yeah, that was when we first met. And you were actually, I think, streaming soccer.
Yes, that's right.
And we were working on some other things, and it was fantastic. And when you were doing that, and I was trying to say, okay, there's got to be a way we can, the biggest issue with everybody at that time was bandwidth.
Yes.
We only had, most soccer fields, most football stadiums did not have a lot of bandwidth.
No.
And that's when the light bulb came on for me. Say, hey, let me reach out to the colleges and universities around and say, let's give games. Give you international exposure.
Yep.
And that's kind of what happened. And they were like, well, we don't want it to look, we want it to look like a polished production. And I said,
sure.
Yeah, it can. I've got a switcher, we can switch between camera angles. We can run multiple camera angles. The only issue I told them we were going to have is actually having a bug up on the screen. Everybody, Fox came out with a score bug in the 90s, and all the major networks jumped on doing the bug. And so that's kind of how I got into it, and that's my story in a nutshell. I love it. And right now, I'm here at Albany State, and I actually do what they call experiential learning with several students, where they get the opportunity to get hands-on with switching, directing a broadcast, putting together lining up, guests and actually producing, not only here football, not only basketball, but events all over Albany State. Next Friday, Albany State will have what we call their coronation. And it's not going to be live streamed, but we're actually to go ahead and shoot it as if it was live streamed to archive it. Because the special guest speaker for convocation, and if I can get a drum roll, it's going to be Rick Ross, the rapper.
All right.
And because a lot of people don't know this, he actually attended school here in Albany State in the 90s. He played football here at Albany State.
Wow. Good connection.
Yeah. So he'll be here. Of course, they want to get that, and because it's homecoming week for Albany State, so we're going to have a lot of activities going on that we're going to be even if it's not live streaming it, we're going to archive it
Yep.
to air on the Albany State television station, and possibly in the future stream it on on the ASU YouTube channels.
Cool. Oh man, Eric, that's great. That's exciting stuff. I mean, that's the culmination of all the stuff that you've been working on for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And where do you go from there? I mean, that's kind of like, okay, now that you've done that, what's next?
My big culmination I don't know if you remember, Tom, it was, I think, just before the pandemic, we did a football show and I was on with you guys, and I had dropped a hint that possibly ESPN would allow vMix as the switcher for an ESPN production.
I remember that.
And
yes.
And so several universities and organizations use vMix, and now I have done an entire ESPN broadcast with vMix, including the graphics, because that's one of their big sticking points, is to make sure, hey, you've got, our graphics package.
Well, and that is the subject of today's show. Yeah. So tell us more. Come on, don't keep us waiting. Come on, Eric. Spill the beans.
All right, what do you want to know?
Well, let's see something, and then we can talk about it. So I'm going to give you the screen here.
Okay, I'm going to switch over first. Let me cut here and go here, and all right, I'm going to cut into my GT title designer here. All right, this is one of the graphics that ESPN uses. I just converted it to GT title designer, where we give them the weather forecast. That's cool, but it's pretty much just a static graphic, kind of boring. But what I did was I actually wrote a script here in my Excel spreadsheet that, if you notice here, these temperatures or anything, they're not correct. But if I go ahead and tell it to refresh, and it's actually going out on the web and querying temperatures and all that good stuff. And I know that's not right. Okay, yeah, there we go. You notice here the temperature, and I don't know if I can get it any larger, but yeah, I can. I'll just tell vMix to enlarge. Go to my position, and we'll zoom in. And
there we go.
If you notice here,
82 degrees.
You notice here, this is the actual temperature in Albany, and I actually, wrote a couple of things here that we can actually do, and it'll pull in the data real time. Well, not real time, but then once I save it, then I can load it into vMix as an Excel spreadsheet. And once I load my graphic in, and let's see. And I wish I would have had it set up for you guys to see that, but once it'll import, and I can just set it up with my actual temperature and wind, and it feels like, depending on whether it's hot or cold, wind chill, it'll be wind chill. I'll pull the wind chill, which actually in my spreadsheet, I have all that data set in there.
Yep.
And I'll zoom in, and you can actually see it a little better. And yeah, you should be able to see it here. Yep. So if you look up right excuse me, I'm sorry. Right here, you'll see my formula for, uh, I think it's my wind chill wind chill. Or if I need to get the heat index, there's my formula for that.
Holy cow.
Yeah. All that's on the internet, Tom. You can just copy. That's all I did was copy and paste it. Now, my only problem I had, Tom, when I'm pulling the wind direction from the National Weather Service, it gives me the wind direction degrees. You know, the wind is blowing at 210, and I don't know if a lot of you know, like at airports, the runways are named after the angle at what they are. They'll tell you, you know, you're cleared on runway 90. That means that runway on a compass would be at 90 degrees. Or they'll say you come around to runway 27.
Yeah.
That runway, you bring it around on the compass to 27 degrees and bring it in. So they do the same thing with wind direction. So I got and if you notice up here, I've got like a little, where I convert it from the angle to whether it's southwest, south, southeast, southeast, whatever. So I can always have it. And if you notice, actually the wind direction is about 9 miles an hour, and it's coming from the north.
Got it.
So, you know, that's one of my little additions to it. And I will go back here. One of the other ones that I've been working on here, and I thought I had that set to reset. There we go. And one of the other ones here is actually my go to break graphic. And it's fairly transparent. You know, you can see all we're doing is just giving the quarter, XX, and the TH is something I bring in because I use a couple of things. I use ScoreBridge when I'm here at Albany State. Sometimes when I travel, I'll use ScoreBridge or ScoreIP, but I'll use also Cast and Sports Hub when I'm at other facilities to make it easier for me to plug in, because I make heavy use of the network because I run fiber, and at my announcer's table, I have another switch that's there that I run my fiber into, and I'll run a line out of that into my Sportscast or my ScoreIP or whatever I'm using to pull data from the scoreboard controller.
Gotcha.
But now to one of the fun things that everybody always is amazed with, and that's this score bug.
Oh yeah.
Because I've actually done something, and I'll go ahead and do the animation for you here. It doesn't look as clean because we're live streaming it and it's compressing it and uncompressing it, but I do have all the animations. It's like the ESPN score bug. As a matter of fact, it is, because I'm also I use Ross expression, so I was able to take the Ross expression graphics, which ESPN develops it for, and convert it out. I'm going to see if I can switch over to Colossus here, and I'm going to see if I can bring in the bug over there.
Folks, Colossus is his big monster PC that he runs vMix on for his broadcasts.
Yeah, I've got 2 deck link 8K Pro cards in there, so I can run if I wanted to 4K cameras.
Oh yeah.
But and I also have two outs. Let me just do that now. Okay. Prime example here. If you're looking at top corner,
oh yeah,
I've got my countdown timer from ESPN. So Pre-game, I usually pop that up. So when I'm doing the facts to ESPN, or if, for example, because HBCU sports is very hot right now, and they're doing a show and they want to come to us, and I can actually throw that up while I've got my air talent giving them a breakdown of the game. Another one of the other cool features that I think everybody enjoys is would be, that guy.
Oh yeah.
Going into a replay, coming out of replay.
Yep.
Our replay wipes, which all of this is actually running in vMix. And I'm trying to find, there we go. Wondering where my bug was, but there it is. All right, prime example here. Here's the main bug. One of the issues I've got is when it's the first game of the season, you can't put ESPN has a rule, don't put their records on there. After the first game, then you can. And then, if they haven't played a conference game, no, you can't put the conference record up until they have a conference game. So that's one of the cool things. And then one of the other great features here that I kind of built in was, you want to throw in like a little comparison graphic. And this is actually, the ESPN graphic. I've actually built it out to run in GT Title Designer, and they're fairly simple to edit. Or just like here in this situation, Albany State gets an interception, and he takes it in for the score. It looks like he got in. Yeah, he got in. So on top of my bug, and we'll throw this, and we can come back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He took out a camera guy right there.
Yeah.
He took out one of my students. The student was trying to get a picture, and let me see if I can switch that over. Oops, that's the wrong one. You can't see it there on that one, but you'll see him come into the frame right there. He's trying to get the shot.
Oh yeah. Good.
Poor guy.
You got to sacrifice your body sometimes.
And then all of a sudden, he's trying to get the shot. He's like, oh my gosh. And then, whoops.
Oh my gosh. Was that the lens?
That's kind of what it looks like.
Oh my gosh. Or maybe something out of his
Yep,
bag.
that was the lens going flying out.
Oh golly. Yeah.
He got up and he was fine, and he's trying to help and still get the shot.
That's dedication. That's dedication. Going back to the helmet stinger for a second, did ESPN give that to you, or did you have to recreate it?
No, ESPN actually because when you're doing stingers for vMix, it has to be the PNG sequence.
Right. Or an MOV file or MP4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I set mine up as a PNG stinger, and you have to rename the sound file, which I have as a WAV file, into to match up with the stinger.
Right.
And so it's always fun. And like I said, here is, my title card where we come into the broadcast, the announcer does his intro.
Right.
And this is all in GT Title Designer. If you notice, I've got the animation of the X's and O's moving across the screen, and everything is fairly automated. I'm in the process now of developing another Excel spreadsheet that I can change the color, just do a drop down and select a team, and it'll have their colors, logos, and then boom, all I have to do is just run the script file inside of vMix, and it'll populate everything for me. So I don't have to remember, I need to change this one, I need to change that one.
Right,
It'll
right.
automatically have everything set up for me.
Oh, that's sweet.
So,
There.
even with the intros. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say, how much time do you think you have invested in figuring all this stuff out? Hours and hours.
Good question. Um,
Maybe I shouldn't have asked.
that's a good question, Tom. Yeah, and realistically, it's kind of a labor of love.
Yeah, yeah.
I play around with it all the time. I couldn't give you an hour count because it's something that I'll start. I work a couple hours here, work a couple hours there, because I'm an IT guy by trade. My degree was in computer science, so um, programming and doing that kind of stuff was fairly easy and it was fun to do.
So you had all these skills just hanging around. You just needed a good project to.
Correct.
Uh-huh. I get
And
that.
so now,
I get that.
yeah,
I want to learn how to weld, but the problem is I don't have any welding projects I really need to do. So I have to wait until I.
well, believe it or not, Tom, I'm actually in vocational school here to take up a little bit of welding
No
because
way.
I've got I just bought a used trailer
Yeah.
and there's some things I'm like, okay, I know I can just get a hole saw and cut a hole in there, but I want to do some modifications
Yep.
on it too.
Yep.
So I'm in the process now of enrolling and learning how to weld.
Oh my gosh. A modern day
Um,
Renaissance guy here, folks. He's a
because I
Renaissance
always wanted to
man.
learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
one of the fun things, and I started off doing this because I wanted to be able to say, all right, there's got to be a cheaper way. I don't need to spend literally tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this.
Right.
And then vMix comes along, and even though Colossus is a fairly beefy computer, it's the high end. It's an X299. It's an Asus Sage 10G. So I've got two 10G network cards in there. Well, network cards in there, and it's the i9 10980. 10980XE processor in there as well. Um,
Ooh,
and
beast.
it's got two NVMe drives. One is actually for my replay.
Right.
Actually, on Colossus, I have one, two, three, four, five drives. One is a mechanical drive I've rated to give me 5 terabytes. I've got a 4 terabyte that handles a replay. Um, 1 terabyte is my operating system, and I've got two terabyte SSDs in there that I use to store stuff. But the mechanical drives are my
Stuff.
backup. Tom, I carry
I
a
know. I
lot of things. For
know.
example,
You
you
never
do
know when
too,
you're going to
Tom.
need
Don't,
it. And so you better just have it with you. That's the voice of
yes,
experience right
sir.
there.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
And I'm gonna switch back over to. I'll switch back over real quick to Colossus here and show you one of those drives, if that's okay, Tom.
Yes, please do.
Um, and I'm gonna try to zoom in just a little bit on that so you can see it a little better. But and, yeah, there we go. And so if you notice, those are actually the ESPN graphics packages for Ross Expression.
Uh huh.
Um, there's the new football package, along with the fonts and everything, and a couple of AVI files, and also, these are actually the Ross Expression files that they use for their system for football.
Okay.
They do one for pretty much every sport. Um, Basketball is coming up real soon. The Olympic sports, are the Olympic sports, volleyball, um, and sports like that. They have a soccer one, so we can actually, and so I have access to their project server, so I can actually pull everything in. And these are actually the spreadsheets that ESPN uses to put things together. Um, and that's what gave me the said, okay, yeah, we can do the same thing in vMix.
All right. So how did you get ESPN to unlock their world to you?
And that was fairly easy. It's not that difficult. What normally happens, Tom, is when they sign a deal with a school, they have to get the logos and everything to incorporate it into their system and their ecosystem. So they have to give you access to and it's called an expression project server. It actually sits out on the internet. They give you username, password, and you can log in and grab all their stuff. Another way is you can buy your Ross expression system, and Ross will give you access, or ESPN has just approved AJT, their graphic system for ESPN graphics. So if you buy an AJT system, they no longer make the $6,000 model. Everything's $10,000 and up now. You got full access to it there. But the easiest way, if your school is doing an ESPN broadcast, or something like that, or you get Ross Expression trained, you can get access to it. So that's kind of how you get to their ecosystem to get it, because you can get the Ross Expression graphics, no problem. But the issue would be, if you're going to run vMix, you're going to have to convert it if you want to use your vMix infrastructure.
Right.
And that's where my little bit of programming experience comes into play.
And are you the first one doing this, do you think, with vMix?
I can't answer that. I've reached out to a lot of folks, and everybody is claiming ignorance. So I'll take that as a yes.
Yes. Oh, that's great. That is awesome, man. That is, you're the first. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Some folks were asking me about possibly even, trying to sell it. And I'm like, I don't know yet.
Yeah, right. Well, there's one thing to develop something and to make it work. And then there's another thing altogether to suddenly make it a product that somebody's going to purchase, because their expectations are through the roof. And if it breaks,
Correct.
They're not going to be able to fix it.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I get where you're going on that one. But that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now, are you using...
because they do... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go.
Okay, because, the biggest thing was adding the animations and everything in. And GT Title Design is kind of limited as to what it'll let you do.
Right.
So, you have to kind of figure out ways around it. And I was trying to find my lower third for it. And I know I had it in here somewhere. I know I've got it on Colossus, but that's not the one I'm looking for. That's the wrong drive.
So you're using vMix, you're using X keys to fire off all this stuff as vMix shortcuts or scripts or triggers or a combination thereof. You're using stingers, you're using things that you have modified or created from scratch using the elements that ESPN has given you in GT Title Design.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is Martin Sinclair's dream come true, that somebody has taken the tools that he's provided and said, oh, sure, I can do that, and applied their own expertise to his tools. I mean, if you think about it, even in welding, but I'd say, let's say carpentry, there are tools that people can use, but that doesn't make them a carpenter. It doesn't make them a craftsman just because they possess the tools. They have to know how to be able to use the tools. I think a lot of people miss that. They get something like vMix and they expect, oh, I'm going to be able to do these great, wonderful things. And then they're like, where are the buttons that make it do all these great, wonderful things that I saw Eric Tabor do? Well, there aren't any buttons that do that. You're getting a Lego set. You got to build it, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And as you can already say, oh, look at this. Let's go full screen. So we got the full effect here. There we go.
okay, and this was actually a lower third for, you know, when we put in the graphics, and I actually had to play around with it. I'm going to see if I can edit this real time. One of the problems I had at first was the line up underneath there is supposed to match your first name. So if you notice now, when I take it out, it takes it away.
Yeah.
And if I say Tom, see, it matches that, and I'll change that one, and we'll say, and, you know, real time, and I'm changing everything up. And that, a lot of people say, that's real cool. It took a little bit of playing around and working on some things because, you know, you can use what they call bounding inside of GT Title Designer, and I'm going to go ahead and take that off so you can bring me back in, Tom. But bounding doesn't work. It only works one way, going left to right. And I needed it to go right to left as I start filling out my name or filling out the person's first name. So the workaround was to reverse it inside of GT Title Designer, and then when I bring it up inside of I go and mirror it. So now it looks correct. Yeah, that's the programmer in me.
That's right. It's just a problem. It's just a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Problems are made to be solved. Problems aren't insurmountable. Sometimes you have to think about them backwards or in reverse or upside down or, as a negative as opposed to a positive. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
So it's always fun. I mean, it really is. You know, no matter what we do, you know, you'll come up with some stuff. You know, everybody has different ways of doing things, and that's just my way.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's where I talk about if I build this out, this is almost going to have to be a full-time job if people buy this graphics package, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Updating it, changing things, fixing bugs. You know, I just built it out because it works for me.
Right, right.
And a couple of people I've let play around with it. You know, my main man, I got to give a shout out to Patrick Glory up in Carrollton, Georgia. You know, he's doing big things there with vMix.
Yep.
And I haven't had a chance. I hadn't talked with my other guy, and that's your main man as well, TJ Thompson, over in Brunswick. I meant to call him and check on him because, you know, we just recently had the hurricane go through and kiss them over in Brunswick.
That's right. Don't want to get kissed by a hurricane.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like trying to kiss a rattlesnake, right?
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I don't know if that was a good pun, though.
That'll work. That'll work. Yeah, we know about hurricanes down here on the Gulf of Mexico. We've had our share in the last 20 years, 25 years. I guess 30 years I've been here. We've had about a dozen.
I was in the big one that hit Mobile. What was it? 2005 or 2004?
Oh, I was going to say 1979, Hurricane Frederick, but you're talking about more recent than that. Hurricane Ivan. Yes, that's the one you're talking about. Ivan was nasty.
And I was actually in Mobile at that time, and we were in the dark for 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yep.
I was in radio at the time, so I actually stayed at the radio station. I slept, bathed, and ate at the radio station for literally about 2 weeks.
You know, a lot of folks talk about, you know, evacuating. We'll get off track here, but we'll get back on, I promise. Evacuating for a storm, and they're thinking, okay, well, it's the storm is the reason I'm evacuating. Well, that's part of it, but it's what happens after the storm too. That is where you wish you had evacuated because you don't have any power, you don't have any water. If it flooded at all, everything smells, and you just don't want to be there.
Yep.
You want to be in a hotel with air conditioning, 500 miles up the road until it's clear to come back. And then they have the power on. They got the water running, and you can make some repairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to hang
The
around.
hotels don't even have air conditioning or power either. Because one of my other jobs, I also was in radio, but it wasn't my day job. I actually worked with the Army Corps of Engineers, and I worked for a while at the Mobile District headquarters downtown.
Oh, golly.
It was right next to the courthouse, the federal courthouse, by the way, Tom. So you know what I'm talking about on Government Street.
Sure. Did you know Bob Keyser?
Yes, Colonel Keyser.
Yeah.
You mean Colonel? Yeah.
Colonel
He's retired
Keyser.
now, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes,
he was the district. He was the guy in charge of everything for Mobile District.
His boys and my boys played soccer together.
I did not know that.
And we lived in the same neighborhood up until about a year ago when he and his wife retired and moved to the lake. So yeah, he was a fun guy.
I don't know if he got. I was wondering, did he get? I thought he was up for a promotion to get a star. So he didn't get a star.
I think he retired.
Didn't become a general.
That. No, I think he retired before that and went into private practice. Yeah.
Yeah, because I left and I was like, oh man, because General Flowers, he was over the Southeast region and the Mobile District, and I know we're going way off on a tangent. We were we used to spend, with the federal government, whatever money you don't spend by the end of the fiscal year, your budget gets cut the next year by that amount.
That's right.
So
crazy.
The Mobile District, every year we were able to expend like about 99.7% of all of our funds. And General Flowers wanted to come down and see how did we do that. And we were actually, well, no, I can't say where we were, but we were working. And what happens is the fiscal year for the government begins October 1st. So September 30th, everybody who spent money and all of us IT guys were in one room while they were spending money. And then General Flowers made a public comment that Eric and those guys, Eric said, hey, do you guys need any more time? And then somebody said, I need 20 minutes. And he said, I looked up at the clock on the wall and it was 12:05, but I looked on the computer and it was 11:45, just before midnight. And the clock on the wall said it was 5 minutes after midnight. But we changed our whole server and mainframe infrastructure so we could expend some more funds because people needed some more time. He put it out there. I was afraid I was going to get fired, but now the statute of limitations is done. So.
And folks, you're dealing with somebody right here that knows how to get things done, whether it's in vMix or in government. Eric is the guy that knows how to get things done. And he's going to think the problem through and turn it upside down and look at it in different ways in order to figure out how the tool set that he already has can be used to fix the problem. And he's applied that at multiple levels successfully, it sounds like. This is fun. This is good stuff. Well, there's a comment in the chat, and we'll go to the post show in just a minute and take the questions. But it's Steve Hawkins who was talking about how you felt, as you were sharing about how you developed your spreadsheet and the different ways it interfaced with the graphics. And it says, his question is, where do you go to learn that? So where do you go to learn that, Eric?
You're gonna think this is crazy, but I tell my students the same thing. The greatest thing that God and the internet gave us were YouTube videos. You can actually go on YouTube and do a search. For example, I want to know, how do I create a formula for a spreadsheet? Somebody's done a video on it. If I want to know, for example, with vMix, and Martin and Tim, and those guys do a fantastic job on showing you how to incorporate some things. Like, for example, when I'm doing, when I'm pulling in stuff, data from the school board controller, it comes in as an XML file. And, vMix will allow you to import an XML file. So I just replace my graphics in there with the XML file, and then boom. So I've got that same thing with the Excel spreadsheet. But as far as creating and doing all that stuff, YouTube has been my go-to tool in my tool bag.
There you go. There you go. Sometimes the question is, what's the right question? Because if you don't ask the right question, you won't get the right answer. Yeah. That's always the hardest for me. Is that's what took me so long to get started in live streaming, because I couldn't figure out what to call this stuff. It had a name, but I didn't know what the name was. I wasn't coming from a broadcast background, TV or radio. I wasn't coming necessarily from a sports background. It's my kids that played sports. And it took me, Eric, it took me 2 years to finally discover VidBlaster and Wirecast. And I took one look at Wirecast and I said, I'll never figure this out. And then I looked at VidBlaster and it said, it looks pretty simple, and it seemed to work. And so off we went until I discovered vMix, and then it was like getting on a rocket. It was great. All right, well, let's close out this part of the show and let's go to the post show. And folks, stick around. We will be right back. I think I can do this. I'm a trained professional. Well, I'm a trained something. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. And we are now in the post show. You can tell because it says post show right down there. All right, so Eric, Ron Wallace was saying that he worked at the Corps of Engineers in Mobile before joining the Marine Corps. So you guys may have met and don't even realize it. How about that? And John is chiming in. That's the Caribbean Christian Broadcasting, if you're watching in the chat. John is greeting us. And Bill Dawson says he saw Resolve. Is that your editor of choice?
You're talking about on my main machine. I do use Resolve. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one system. Some people like DaVinci Resolve. Some people like Adobe After Effects. Some people, of course, will love the CG and Ross Expression. I play with all of them.
There you go. And I'm not working at the level that you are, but I do know that some tools will do one thing really, really well, but another tool might do something different that is exactly what you need. And it may not be quite as well as it does it over here, but it's got that one little twist of a feature that you need. And the trick is to continue to be in an ongoing learning posture, so that you're always learning. You've never arrived, except sometimes you have to choose, because learning starts like this, and eventually there's more out there, and you just have to say, where do I stop? And I decided years ago with these things that I was just going to reach a plateau, and I wasn't going any further. It wasn't worth my time to be able to make, my cell phone sing, even if my grandson could. Yep. So let's see. All right. Steve Hawkins said when we were talking about your time in developing these ESPN graphics that it wasn't hours; it was more like days when you added it all up.
It could have been. I would for the bug.
It could.
Um, Off and on, I would probably say that was about 8 to 10 total man hours. I didn't get a chance to sit down. If I had a full day to work on it, I could have
Just for
probably,
that one thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to look pristine as if it was from a Ross Expression machine or a Viz RT machine,
Right.
with
No,
all the bells and whistles and everything.
not that anybody else would have cared if it was just slightly off,
Yeah.
but you
But I had to
care.
have it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because yeah. No, I get that. I get that. It's like, nobody will know what the back of this looks like, but it's got to be as good as the front. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. I love that. All right, let's see what other questions we've got here. Gunnar says that there are always interesting topics in these shows. Well, that's for sure, because we never know where it's going to be from week to week. And Martin Kay, who is DV2 Broadcast in the chat, who works very closely with Magewell, and they've been doing some things with an audio converter. So I guess that's maybe a parallel to Dante. We'll have to
Hmm.
get Martin on to talk about it. Are you familiar with the Magewell AES 67?
67. Yeah, that's actually the Dante protocol.
Oh,
They're
well,
probably developing hardware for it.
there you go then. All right.
Um, like I said, I ended up going the Studio Technologies route. No disrespect to Magewell. I love their products, but at the time, they didn't have anything out there.
Right.
And everything else was fairly pricey. Um, but I met with the guys from Studio Technologies at the time. They're like, hey, we're trying to develop, for example, this producer's console, which has the gooseneck. It has a little small speaker built in, or I can plug in a 5-pin headset if I needed to. It runs PoE, here, or I can just run regular power. And I'll unplug that. But so either way, I can just run power and just a regular network connection. Um, and it also has a secondary connection as well. So I can do, pretty much anything with my Dante and with my controller. So I can route my speaker console to my announcer consoles, or if I need to, camera guy, because granted, I'm using Blackmagic as their fiber talkback converters. Um, but say I wanted to just talk to the camera guys, I put in AES 50, I think it's AES3. I'm sorry, AES3 dongle, because that's the audio that comes out for the uh, camera guys. So I plug that into the network, and now it's also Dante. So now I can speak to just the camera guys, or if I just want to speak to just the announcers, I can do that. Or if I want to speak to some of the other folks in the truck, I can route it fairly simple. And it makes it easy. If I just need a one-to-one conversation, I can do that. Or if I need to talk to everybody with my announcer console here, I can, and you'll see I've got the green light, which means that's on. Or if I just press it and hold it, so I can actually sit up here and talk to everybody at the same time if I needed to. Or if just one person or a couple of people say, hey, you blew that shot, man. I can have that individual conversation.
I like it. I like it. Otis in Texas is asking if you can give the specs again on your computers.
Okay. Both Colossus and Junior, I call them Junior because Colossus 2. They're both Asus X299 Sage 10G motherboards. Colossus 1, I'm running 128 gigs of RAM in that one. And Colossus 2 is 64 gigs. And for graphics card, I'm a big fan of the Quattros. In one, I've got the Quattro RTX A4000. In Junior, I've got the Quattro P4000. I like the 4000 series because they were a single slot. Most graphics cards now, they eat up two slots, PCIe slots. That one only eats up one. And I like this guy, and I like those because of the simple fact now it's just one slot. And the Quattro series allows you to do as many encodes as you like. And as far as storage, I'm using M.2 NVMe drives for my main, for the operating system, and a separate drive for my replay. I've got a 4 terabyte in one and a 2 terabyte in two for the replay. Let's see what else. I think that's about the guts of both my machines.
There we go. So Otis says, are you going to be giving advanced classes using vMix and Dante?
I could. I've never really thought about it. Tom, that might be something you and I might want to put our heads together about.
We might want to. It could be fun. It could be fun. And you've definitely got that teacher spirit. I mean, I can see that in you.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to do that kind of stuff. Plus the ability to focus on the details. Because the details, if you get the details right, everything else falls into place. But even if you've got the right overall structure, if the details aren't right, you're in the ditch.
Yeah. Because one of the first things I always do is just draw me out a little map. So, all right, let me see, how am I going to connect tab A goes to slot B?
Yep.
Slot B, and so on and so on. So that way what, on paper you can see what it looks like.
Yep. And if you know where you're going, then when you get there, you can turn around and see how you got there.
Yep.
And the next time you do it, you might not go that exact same route. Yeah.
True.
So once you get all this Dante stuff figured out, what's the next piece of gear you're going to add to your setup?
I just actually got it in.
He's already got it.
And it's part of my master plan. I had a 3-year master plan, and I'm actually a little bit ahead of that. I'm on actually year 2, and this was supposed to be year 3. But thank you to the federal government and the pandemic funds and the EIDL loans and such, which helped me to push this thing a little further ahead. But what I got was I always liked the Blackmagic Constellation. I didn't get the 8K one. I got the new one that just came out that had 2 MEs, the Blackmagic 2 ME Constellation. And the reason I got that was also because my cameras are Blackmagic. I've got 3 Blackmagic Ursa G2 broadcast cameras, Blackmagic Studio Camera Pro, and of course, I've already got the Blackmagic camera, fiber cameras. So basically, I wanted to be able to incorporate the tally lights, and that also let me do it. And one of the reasons why I kind of pushed on forward was because of our good friend Joe DeMax in Central IL. because now I can control both devices simultaneously with my X key. Shameless plug for Maggie and the folks at X Keys as well.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, Eric, this has been great. I appreciate your time today and sharing some of your secrets here. But, it's kind of like sharing secrets that are in a different language. If you don't speak the other language, the secrets don't really do you any good. So if I had to do any of this stuff, I'd be going, okay, where would I start? I'll have to go back and review this video and see if I can steal some of his codes, some of his spreadsheet stuff, his formulas. But anyway, this has been really great. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out today to share with us about it. And good luck this weekend with your students in Birmingham. And keep me in the loop as to what's going on. If you're ever down this way, seafood dinner is on me.
Oh, wow.
He's like, well, maybe we can make a trip.
I haven't had any good Gulf Coast shrimp in ages time.
They still make it. They still make it. Good. Good. That's great. All right, folks. Well, we're going to close out the show, and we will see you next week.